There's the lone guard marching his path here at Buckingham Palace. There he goes. I'm not sure why it's not focusing. Here we are at Stonehenge now. Birds seem to enjoy landing here. This is as close as I can get. As you see, it's fenced off. Small fence. But this is Stonehenge. There's part of the Stonehenge there. The ring of dirt and mound, as you see it, dipping in there and out of the picture. There's the sunstone in the background there. There's, I'm not sure which stone there in the middle is the altar or sacrifice stone, as they call it some. But there is as close as I can get into Stonehenge. There's a couple of little stones in there, bird flying on it. Little bird there. Alright, that is Stonehenge. See y'all later. Good morning, everyone. This is the view of the restaurant we're eating at for breakfast this morning. That is where the pilgrims set out to come to America. We're on the coastal city of Plymouth, England. Here's some of our breakfast, continental breakfast area, the wonderful bar, our drinks. We're in Marco Pierre White restaurant. Down there is our hot food, and I'll be going down there momentarily. Here's more of the city of Plymouth. That way. More of the city. And there's Mom. Say hello, Mom. Now I'm going to go eat. Bye.
Yeah.
We're on a boat. It's a boat. I just looked at the side at the one that was pulling in behind us. We're going to be going out, but I just wanted to show you the Army Citadel that's on top of Hoe Hill. That I'm trying to zoom in. Zooming in, Robert. Okay, sorry about that. See the cannons? More cannons. Oops, that's the corner. There's some more cannons. Sorry about the view and the focus on this, but that is an actual still Army base at this very moment in Britain. Or actually, we're in Plymouth Harbor is where we're at. Let me get back out so you can see for scope. But yes, that is the British Army's Citadel, is what they call it. It's a huge place. I think he said it was Army. I believe they said Army. It could have been Navy because we are in a Navy port. It may be Navy. I could be mistaken. I don't want to offend anyone. It's either Army or Navy, but I'm guessing it would probably be more Navy than anything. If you see that little bus way back there, I don't know why my camera tends to make everything look small when I'm looking through it and filming, but that is the Globus bus.
400 crews on board the Plymouth Venturer.
That's our captain. There's my
Bar
mom.
downstairs will be open. My crew members will be there and coming around to take any orders you require from the fully licensed bar. As we're about to leave, I must give you a brief safety announcement, as required by the MCA.
Safety
Maritime
announcement.
Coast Guard Agency. Please take note of all safety notices and don instructions. Life jackets are stored under the seats in the saloon and in the boxes on the top deck. In the unlikely event of an emergency, please remain calm, seated, wait for instructions from the crew or myself or the PA, and enjoy your cruise.
I'm
We
videoing.
set sail today from where the Mayflower embarked on its epic voyage on the 6th of September, 1620. But on this journey, the ship carried 102 passengers and 30 crew.
There's some
Only
Navy
to start
vessels
a new
out
life
there.
on the other side of the Atlantic. The Mayflower set sail from Southampton in early 1620, alongside the smaller ship, the Speedwell. They were running late, and as they sailed down the English Channel, frustration grew, as the Speedwell was in poor condition. After docking in Dartmouth for repairs, it was over a week before they were ready to sail again. They sailed 300 miles beyond Land's End. Before it was clear the Speedwell was not seaworthy and had turned back into Plymouth. Many abandoned the adventure and returned home, leaving just the Mayflower to make the crossing. At 180 tons and a keel length of less than 60 feet and only 4 foot 9 inches of headroom, the Mayflower was not a big ship. It was actually the same size as the vessel we're on today. During the Pilgrim's stay in Plymouth, the locals had plenty of tales to tell them, as fishermen had long been crossing the Atlantic from Plymouth and fishing off Newfoundland. So the pilgrims would have learned much about their destination, and it was perhaps no accident that they ended up in Plymouth, New England, as it was thought to be suitable for the new community. It had in fact already been found and named Plymouth by the US Navy officer, Captain John Smith, some years earlier. The voyage to the New World was a miserable one. Westerly gales beginning to make the North Atlantic a very dangerous place for sailing, with huge waves constantly crashing against the ship top deck. The passengers were forced to spend a 60-day journey below deck in semi-darkness with little fresh air. Despite stormy weather
Go
and
back
poor
towards the
conditions,
Citadel so you can see
miraculously, the
more of
only
it.
problem aboard was seasickness.
Look at that.
In fact, there was one berth and only one life lost during the crossing. The crew finally spotted Cape Cod just as the sun rose on the 9th of November, 1620. Tragically, half those on board died in the first winter in the US of an unknown disease. The remainers survived greatly, aided by the local Indians, who helped them hunt wild game and fish, as well as showing them how to grow maize and beans. They also began to rear turkeys, and today this is the form of the basis of the Thanksgiving dinner, commemorating the very first harvest in America.
I'm trying to get the Citadel.
Looking to your right, you can see a large fortification. This is the Royal Citadel, built during the reign of King Charles II in 1660. It's built on the site of Drake's Oak Fort. It's the largest fortification of its kind in the UK. If you were to walk the perimeter, you walk approximately 1 mile. No two walls face the same direction, and in places the walls are up to 70 foot thick. Gun emplacements on the town as well as over the sea, as the Plymouvians supported the Politirians during the English Civil War instead of their king. Nowadays it's home to Royal Artillery, to Commando.
There's Julian, our...
We are now entering into Plymouth Sound. The Mayflower would have set sail on its ferry route across Plymouth Sound, one of the finest natural harbours in the world. Ocean-going craft have been coming and going from here for over 3,000 years. Sailing has dominated activities from the sound of the years. Sir Francis Drake, the first Englishman to sail a ship around the world, and the first to sail up the west coast of America, started and ended his journey here. Sir Francis Chichester, the first Englishman to sail single-handed around the world, also started and finished an incredible voyage in Plymouth. Shaft 33.
Here we have an American vessel in the harbor, which is appropriate, helping defend the British territory. The beauty of the American
Just
Navy.
two 25mm chain guns. Just four 12.7 machine guns. Just two phalanx guns. Just two triple torpedo tubes, which he carries two helicopters.
American know-how. Yeah.
We are leaving Plymouth Sound behind us now. We're entered into the river later. This particular spot is known as Devil Point. Due to the damage caused by sandwich from flowing between us at this point, and the water is up to 30 meters in depth. The river Tamer is a divided line between Devil and Plum, and it runs about 57,000 miles. Remember, and I'm going to relax Devil.
But it's actually curved. Now you imagine the centrifugal forces that would throw the bridge to one side as a train comes over it. But it's a combination of elements. It's an iron trough, as you can see, riveted together, bolted together, not riveted, bolted. And then it's a suspension bridge. Can you see the chains? But also it's an arched bridge, but not a stone arch or a metal arch, but a tubular arch, which is above the piers. Do you see it there? And each of these two sections were fabricated on land and then floated out on a barge. But how on earth do you lift those sections to the top of the piers? There is no crane in 1859 that was capable of lifting anything like that on water. So what did Brunel do? He built the piers, two stone ones and one iron. And then he floated the spans out onto the water on a barge. This is tidal water. The tide came in, the barge rose. He locked the span in place. The tide went out, the barge sank. He built staging on top of the barge. He unlocked it, the barge rose again with the next tide, lifted it another 20 feet. And tide by tide, using nothing but the power of the moon, they lifted the piers into place, unlocked them, and it's been there ever since, 1859. Brunel's genius, you know. Don't do the work yourself, get somebody else to do it. Now that brings us across the water. The suspension bridge that we came across, and then just a tunnel takes us through the headland and under the village here. And it takes us into Cornwall, and what you'll begin to see is a different, you know, it's a different part of the world. It's not just a different county. I think it would be safe to say that the Cornish would see themselves as a different people. In the same way as the Welsh would see themselves as Celtic, with their own language. The Scots, certainly the Highland Scots, would see themselves as Celtic tradition, with their own Gaelic language. The Irish, of course, would see themselves as that, but so too would the Cornish. And in fact, the Cornish name, in Cornish, for Cornwall, is Kernow. So you might see that up written above shops of welcome to K-E-R-N-O-W, Kernow. And that is in the Cornish language. Now the Cornish language is not widely spoken. In fact, there are only two people left who speak it, and they're not talking. No, it's It's one of those languages that has, to a great degree, died out. But there are enthusiasts who are bringing it back, and it's estimated there are about 400 or 500 people who speak it pretty well. But yeah, they would see themselves as one of the Celtic peoples, not